So, for anyone who's over 18 and has a job, you might notice that every pay cycle, whether it be weekly, fortnightly, monthly, it doesn't matter, a little bit of money goes into a superannuation account or a super fund. And you might be thinking why that is. Well, your employer actually has to do that. They have to put money into your super fund. It's an employer contribution, and we call it super guarantee contributions. And today we're going to talk about why they exist. So, super guarantee was really born out of this guy and this guy. One of them started it off by bringing in award-based super, and the other one finished it off by bringing in compulsory super. So let's learn about the history of that. Pre the 1980s, superannuation absolutely existed, but the act of an employer contributing money to an employee's super fund wasn't that common. It was mainly seen in the public service, or if you were a white-collar worker working full-time for a business. That meant that loads of Australians had to rely on alternative income streams in their retirement, so things like the age pension. Now, during the 1980s, the Hawke government started to think about ways that we could reduce the stress on the age pension. And one of those ways was employers contributing money into their employees' super funds. So, in conjunction with the Australian Council of Trade Unions, they started to tie superannuation contributions by the employer to awards. So it would mean that if you were a member of a certain award that had been negotiated, as part of your award entitlements, you would also receive employer contributions. Interestingly enough, when they did this for the first time, it was by foregoing a salary increase. So instead of negotiating, yes, I want a 3% increase in salary, they said, no, instead of a 3% increase in salary, I want 3% of the money to go into my super fund. How crazy is that? And thus, award-based super was born. So this wasn't compulsory super. It meant that if you weren't part of these specific awards, you wouldn't receive this 3% employer contribution into your super fund. But it was a start. It was the start to taking some pressure off the age pension. And more importantly, it was the beginnings of making superannuation one of the key pillars for our retirement savings scheme. Then we had the Keating government, and they took it a major step further. So, from the 1st of July 1992, the Keating government brought in the super guarantee, and this was really compulsory super. So, of course, if you were in an award which had superannuation tied to your award entitlements, you would already have been receiving some super contributions from your employer. However, the changes in 1992 meant that everyone was covered. If you were employed and over 18, you would be receiving contributions from your employer. Now, this was obviously a major step forward for superannuation, and it really solidified superannuation as one of the key pillars for the retirement savings scheme in Australia. And it started to take significant pressure off the age pension because more Australians were able to fund their own retirement. From there, the SG or super guarantee has only grown. So it's now at a whopping 12